Welcome in. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, before we hop into the video, I want to thank the awesome sponsor of today's video, and that is SKG Tax. The holiday season is here, and Santa will see who's been naughty or nice. He slays to every roof and goes down every chimney. In tax season, the IRS looks at their naughty and nice list. They go to every mailbox on every street. Don't let the IRS leave you a lump of coal in your mailbox. Call JR the Tax Czar and talk to a CPA. Make sure you and your business stay on the nice list. JR is an awesome supporter of the channel and a great Jets fan, so if you want to help a brother out, make sure you support the great sponsors of our channel. Thank you, JR. Now, let's hop into today's video. I want to talk about the Jets beatdown in Miami. We did not get on the plane. Heck, the score would have been exactly the same if the Jets didn't get on the plane. Like, we would have scored the same exact amount of points. You can't get shut out by a division rival when your season's on the line. This is not good, especially when the Jets are coming off such a high win against Houston last week, and the Dolphins are coming off such a crushing loss to the Titans last week. This was really frustrating to watch as a Jet fan. So there's a few topics and a few storylines that I want to get into. So the first story that I want to jump into is the Jets are officially eliminated from playoff contention. We had like the smallest of small chances. It was like, all right, well, if the Jets just win out from here and we have all these other teams lose and, you know, the sun eclipses the moon on such a day, then the Jets wind up getting in and we don't have to make a blood sacrifice of another Achilles tendon to someone else. No, it's finally there. The Jets are finally eliminated. And I'll be honest, since week one, when Rodgers went down, it sort of felt like the gut punch of like, I don't know where this season is going, and at least the torment is kind of over at this point. You know, we keep longing and hoping for all these different, situations to play out, and you're just kind of racking your brain, just hoping and hoping and hoping. And that's what the Jets have been selling us. They've been selling us hope year in and year out, and it's just been really frustrating. Now, as far as the, what to think and what to do moving forward, there's a lot of stuff to get into because the Jets currently have a top 6 pick as it stands. The Tankathon draft leaderboard right now has the Jets sitting at 6, boom, 5-9. Chicago does own the tiebreaker with us, and they almost won on the last play of the game. But it was Joe Flacco, our former quarterback, that winds up setting themselves up for a loss. So the Bears wind up losing. They stay ahead of us. But what's really important right here, this week, we are playing Washington. So if you are team tank and need a high draft pick, if the Jets win this week, what is the benefit? What happens here? Because you're falling, the Jets' strength of schedule winds up falling. If you wind up winning, you're falling like all the way down potentially to like 9 or 10. It's not ideal, I guess, depending on how things fall. I've been saying I think the Jets are going to wind up with the 7 pick just because of, I think we're better than what we've put on the field. This week, obviously last week, I felt like it was closer to where we wanted to be, but it doesn't matter. It depends who's starting quarterback. Is it going to be Simeon? Is it going to be Zach? Like, I'll be honest, I was rooting for wins through yesterday, but if Zach isn't going to be able to go and isn't going to be able to play, I don't really want to win games with Trevor Simeon. I don't really want to win games with like Rippin or whoever our backup is, because neither one of those quarterbacks are going to be here long term, and I don't think either one's a backup for next year's team, and I don't know how much we're really going to gain by them winning us games. Like, if Zach comes back and he's got a potential to be the backup quarterback for next year, or whatever, maybe that's a long shot at this point, but at least like winning with Zach sort of means something, whether he's helping his trade value or helping us because he could be a future quarterback for us. I don't know where I fall. I very much want to have the draft pick at this point, especially since we're eliminated. I want to look forward to something. Give me some hope here. Now, what's concerning about this particular scenario here? Why am I pointing out Washington? One, just getting in front of the team doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to pick the correct player. We've seen that with the Jets in the past anyway. But they are going to be going potentially for a very similar player to the New York Jets. This is from Tankathon as well. This is what the projected mock draft is based on the current rankings. And you can see quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle. So offensive tackle right now, the first one is projected to go at number 4. So if the Jets can at least leapfrog Washington, I guess the Bears could still kind of go offensive line as well. Like, it's no guarantee the Jets are getting Joe Alt at 6 or Fashanu at 6 or whoever falls. It would be very nice to at least hop in front of Washington to give ourselves the opportunity at either the top offensive tackle if we want it, or at least leapfrog another team that might be looking for a tackle that could be taking the one we want, and we want, the choice of it. But now you got to say, like, do you feel confident in what we're going to do? Because Joe Douglas, let's be honest, our offensive lineman selections haven't worked out that great, and it's entirely, like, reasonable to be frustrated with Joe Douglas. Like, the only ones that have worked out so far, and that's, like, kind of a little asterisk, is AVT, who looks legit. Like, talent-wise, it's all there, but he hasn't been healthy for the last 2 years. And not that I think those are reoccurring type injuries with the triceps or the Achilles. Like, those don't generally happen year over year, but frustrating draft pick nonetheless. Then you have, Tippmann, who looks good. Those are like the only two pieces that you're really looking at in your offensive line if you're the New York Jets. But that's the tank, right? So you gotta hope to get the tank. Look, the picks, what I'm trying to get at here. Andre Dillard was one of Joe Douglas's picks in Philadelphia. He has been incredibly underwhelming. Now you have Joe Douglas, who's already, his first pick with the Jets was Mekhi Becton. So Andre Dillard and Mekhi Becton, it's two offensive tackles that really have been underwhelming for both franchises. Dillard doesn't start, and I don't even know if he's on the Eagles anymore. And then, Mekhi Becton seemingly on his way out. So Jet fans, we're sitting in this weird position of, okay, we're looking at the top pick. Do you go with the top offensive lineman? Is that the correct move? Do you say, oh, the Jets are going to have Aaron Rodgers, we're going to win a lot more games, so you have to make the quarterback selection at the top of this draft? That's going to be a conversation. The wide receiver question is going to be a huge issue because maybe wide receivers don't want to sign with us in free agency because Rodgers might be aging or they may not know what he is coming back. The last time they saw him play really was 2 years ago in Green Bay, and he had his worst season of his career. So is he trending down after missing an entire year? There's going to be a lot of question marks for these New York Jets going into this offseason, and you might have to take your wide receiver in the first round of the draft or your quarterback or your offensive tackle. There's so many different ways you can go, and I understand the arguments for both ways depending on what happens in free agency. I have my thoughts. I very much would like offensive linemen. I don't know if we're going to attract offensive linemen to the Jets. I think we can throw silly money at a wide receiver, and maybe they wind up choosing us. I don't know. It's very frustrating. Let me know what you guys think about this particular topic down below in the comment section. Let's move on to our next topic of the day. That is moving on. Potentially. Probably. From Mekhi Becton. Big ticket was a big problem yesterday. He gave up a bunch of sacks. Not a good showing from Mekhi Becton. The whole offensive line was really bad. This is not pinning it all on Mekhi Becton, but there's a lot of focus on him because of a video that kind of came out of him walking off the field smiling, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. But lots of, turmoil going on with Mekhi Becton because he was our the first draft pick by Joe Douglas. He was supposed to protect the blind side of our quarterback. We got to see him with Sam Darnold. We got to see him with Zach Wilson, and we got to see him finally healthy, through a season. Now he's a little bit, you could say there's a little bit of the high ankle sprain going on or whatever, but by and large, we got to see him through a full healthy season. And I'm happy we got to see Mekhi Becton through a healthy season because there was always this looming hope that he was going to get healthy and just be this enormous left tackle that we got to see out of his rookie season. And now that he's been healthy, at least I can kind of say oh, it's not his injury concern. It's just that he's not playing well. It's just a bad pick. It did not work out. It really sucks. And, Mekhi Becton, I do not think the Jets are going to wind up re-upping him. I think he's probably going to go to another team on a prove-it deal because if you look at what he has been worth or what he's done over the course of his Jet season this year, in terms of sacks, he is a league high. It's at least 11 sacks. He might be at 12 sacks. That number may not be updated from yesterday. I think he was at 10, tied for the league lead, and then wound up getting 11 and 12 at some point. And then number 2, Andre Dillard, the number 2 person on the list for sacks in a season is Andre Dillard. Literally the 2 players that Joe Douglas drafted. I just talked about this. Joe Douglas selected Andre Dillard in Philadelphia as his first Philadelphia draft pick, and Mekhi Becton, his first draft pick here. Literally the 2 tackles that are leading the league in sacks. That to me, all the confidence and blind faith that I had in Joe Douglas fixing this offensive line, and then seeing this with Becton and Andre Dillard. Oh, how do you have any sort of confidence in this guy putting together an offensive line at this point? I'm super frustrated. From a penalty perspective, the Jets, Mekhi Becton is the 3rd most penalized tackle. He has 13 penalties against him this year, 10 that were accepted. There's 2 other people, I think ahead of him at this point. There's someone that has 17 And like Andre Dillard's like pretty high on that list as well. So we're just batting 1,000 here. It's really frustrating. And like I said, yesterday coming off the field, there was this video that was playing of Mekhi Becton, and he's smiling, and everyone's just kind of like making a big deal about like, is this a thing? Is this not a thing? Should we be upset with it? This guy should be pissed off that he just lost and got abused the way he got abused on the offensive line. And I kind of fall somewhere in the middle because you don't know what's going on through Mekhi Becton's head. Like it pisses me off to see him smiling because I'm burnt up about all the time and energy that I put into this damn fan base, and I just want to feel like the players are feeling as pissed off as I am. But then at the same time, like it's like the dude's job. Like if you got to think of it that way, and like, you know, maybe he's just coming off the field. The guy next to him could have said a funny joke, or he could have remembered something funny, and he just had a moment of smiles. And that's all it was. It could be a very human moment, but Jet fans seem kind of torn on this one. And I get it. I definitely get it. And I want Mekhi Becton to be like the aggressive, dominant, just massive human, like anger. I just want him to like maul people. And he seems so soft at such a big size. And like the injuries have been such a big concern. And there's two ways to think of this, right? Like it's, oh, I feel bad for Mekhi because he has been injured. Or like, you know, is he bad? And if he's bad because he's injured, then the injury bug still kind of hangs around. So you're kind of in this weird feedback loop of what is Mekhi Becton. And I think at this point, the Jets just kind of have to move on from him from a skill perspective. And the thing that sucks is like there's not really a lot on the offensive line right now. You're talking like Tippmann and AVT might be the only two that are coming back from a starter perspective. Like you have Carter Warren and Max Mitchell under contract. You have Tomlinson, but I don't know if they're going to necessarily hold on to him. They might hold on to him just because they may not be able to get other offensive linemen. That's what you might be looking at. Now, as far as Mekhi Becton's contract goes coming up for this upcoming offseason, he's going to be a free agent. So you got to look at one of the two franchise tags or the transition tags, which are crazy numbers. You're not even going to be touching these things. Franchise tag, $21.7 million, not worth it. $19.7 million for the transition tag, which allows you to like match a contract. Not going to happen either. This is really, really bad. And what kills me about this whole thing, and I don't know if you could see it, I'll try to zoom in on the post-production stuff, but Mekhi Becton's thigh pad has a money bag on his thigh, like imprinted on the thigh pad. Come on, dude. Like, you got to earn the money. You got to earn the money. I know you talked a big game, but I feel like he's been all about, like, I don't know. It's just, Mekhi Becton's been a very disappointing pick for me, and I really wanted the best out of him, but I think it's probably best that the Jets move on at this particular point in time. So guys, let me know what you think of the Mekhi Becton stuff. Should the Jets re-sign him? What are the Jets going to do with him moving forward? Let's move on to our next topic of the day, and that is one, Zach Wilson. What really happened with Zach? There's a whole lot of stuff going on. Like first we hear that Zach Wilson, Jets PR team on my end told me in the first half, Zach Wilson went into the locker room not with an injury, but instead because he was in need of hydration. Wilson not under center for the start of the second half. Now, he went out at the very end of the first half. There might have been like a minute or two left in that first half. Then we get this update that says, PR tells me Zach Wilson is out with a head injury, but he is not in the concussion protocol. Remember, he went into the tent after the first hit of the game where he fumbled the ball and the ball got turned over on the 2-yard line. Got hit, went to the blue tent, got cleared from concussion protocol. Then we find out from the Jets after halftime, Zach Wilson has been ruled out with a concussion. If you wanted to spark a whole bunch of conspiracy theories and rumors about what's going on with Zach Wilson, remember just this past week, or 2 weeks ago, he had the reluctance to play and the Jets had to try and talk to him. He had the conversation with Salah and all this turmoil is going kicked up and whatnot. And, oh, he's not going to be here if he doesn't want to play. Are we headed in the same direction or did he actually have a concussion? That's sort of the weird discussion that's being had amongst Jet fans right now. And I kind of look at it and say, did you see the hits this guy was taking? Like, absolutely get throttled. I don't know how that one wasn't a penalty from Chubb. Then he steps up, he gets his clock clean, whipped onto the backside of his helmet, and then he goes for a slide. This was the final play before he got knocked out. He takes a thigh pad to the head. Zach took 3 shots to the head in the matter of the first half of that game. Like, I 100% think this dude was trying to ball out for his teammates. When he said, look, I got nothing left to lose, he's the only thing that sort of kept this game interesting, at least for a little bit. And I don't put much of the blame on him for yesterday's loss. Like, yes, you got to score points and everything, but he had no time, like literally getting blasted left, right, and sideways. It was a damning indictment on the offensive line, and it's just really frustrating. So what really happened with Zach? I think he just got a concussion. And honestly, if I were Zach, you probably want to hope you're out the rest of the season. This might be the last time we see Zach Wilson in a Jet uniform. And that really sucks. Not because I'm like holding on to some hope that he could be a franchise quarterback, but like I at least wanted to see the rest of this year with him maybe performing like the Houston Texans game and giving me hope that he could be like a backup quarterback, or even that like he can up his trade value. Like, what is his trade value right now to any other team in the NFL? You just got to hope that they think the Jets are so completely incompetent that we couldn't do, just can't figure out quarterback. So guys, let me know what you think about the Zach Wilson dehydration, concussion situation down below. The next topic I want to get into, Aaron Rodgers. The miracle squashed because the Jets do not have any more playoff hopes. The report originally was Aaron Rodgers going to come back as long as there's a little bit of glimmer of hope. So Jets keeping their hopes alive against Miami was key for him to return on Christmas Eve against the Commanders. Do not play. If you saw one thing yesterday, it's Aaron Rodgers' face on the sideline just shaking his head and saying, oh man, I really want to get back. He wants to have this whole like return, but don't. For the love of God, Jet fans are telling you, please don't come out. You saw that offensive line. You're not going to fare better behind that. You're just not. We need weapons. We need offensive linemen. Let us do it in the offseason. Get fully healed. If you want to come in for like a ceremonious, like, hey, you're on the active roster, you're the emergency game day like quarterback or something like that, fine. Then you get the credit of, okay, I'm on the active roster, but I don't need to see you on the field. This storyline writes itself. If you go out on the field against the Commanders, the final MetLife game, you're going to have injured your Achilles in the first game on MetLife's turf, and then the friggin' devil or whatever's hiding under MetLife's turf is going to come up and snatch your other Achilles and drag you into the underworld with the rest of us fans, where we're just burning up in hell and it just sucks. And I hate everything. He's going to get hurt in the final game in MetLife's turf. Like, that's just how Jet stuff works. We know the butt fumble. We know the Hail Mary. We know the fake spike. Like, this is it would be the epitome of Jets luck if this dude comes back and he gets hurt on Christmas Eve, and the Jets fans have to have their Christmas Day ruined as much as they had their de facto Christmas Day on opening day with our brand new franchise quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, crushed on opening night. So I don't want to see you come back. I can wait till next year. I'll have blind faith that you're going to be good. I cannot have the injury on MetLife's turf on Christmas Eve. It just cannot happen. I don't want it to happen. Do not play Aaron Rodgers. The final topic I want to discuss today is the coaching. Robert Saleh, is he possibly losing the locker room? Some comments being made by both Lazard and Garrett Wilson, as well as just like the body language on the field. Like, this does not look good for Coach Saleh. The first comment I want to get into is by Lazard. He's talking about, he was asked the question, why do you guys think you were beat so bad or whatever? And this was his response.
I think they just played a better game, you know. They out-schemed us, out-efforted us. They played a better football game than we did today. So it's just tough.
It's never great when you wind up hearing a wide receiver saying you got out-schemed and out-efforted. You should never be out-efforted. Like, that is a collective issue. Out-schemed, that is a coaching problem. That means the players are clearly saying, like, hey, something's wrong here. And I agree. There is far too much talent on this team to be losing the way we're losing consistently. This is a constant problem under Robert Saleh. This is, like, look at this record. Joe Douglas, 25-55 as a GM. That's .463. Robert Saleh, 16 of 32. Both not good records. And then 17 of our losses. 17 of our losses for Robert Saleh's losses. Of those 32, by 15 or more points. When we lose, we don't keep it competitive. We get our doors kicked in. We cannot stay competitive on the field. And I think it's fair to question, like, are these the right guys for the ship? And even heading into next year, we're about to make a very important selection inside the top 10 of a draft, not to mention going into an offseason where maybe Joe Douglas is trading away future first-round picks for an aging wide receiver like Devontae Adams. I'm going to lose my cool. If the 2025 first is given up for an aging wide receiver when you can go out and get, you know, when these guys might not be there to take advantage of the repercussions of giving up the 2025 first. Ugh, I don't know what to make of it. And then you got things like Garrett Wilson saying something. He's asked a question about, like, you didn't get the ball till the third quarter. How did you feel about this? And this is what Garrett had to say.
I mean, you know, it seems like we're being unintentional, to be honest. And that's kind of my mindset on it. Simple. You know, I feel like that doesn't have to be the case. It was, and you know, I guess I got to fix it. I got to figure out how I can get involved in the first quarter. I mean, starting practice fast, I don't know. I got to show something. I got to do. I don't know. But you know, they had a good plan for us. They did a good job getting after us, and stuff made it hard. You know, that's what it was. And yeah, you know, I got to be able to adjust my stuff. I don't know. I got to figure it out.
When you have your best player not knowing why he's not getting involved in the first quarter of a game, and he's saying, oh, I got to start practice a little harder, like, that's a clear damning indictment on the coaching staff and not getting the ball in his hands. Like, he is your best offensive weapon, the only shot you got. Breece Hall is a great weapon, but our offensive line is Swiss cheese. He's a de facto, like, decoy back there. He needs to be brought out as a weapon in the receiving game as well. But Garrett Wilson is consistently getting open, and for some reason, was it Jalen Ramsey totally dominating him? I guess we'll look at the All-22 and see what actually wound up happening. But, like, you got to scheme Garrett Wilson open. There's times where, look, Miami's only weapon, Jalen Waddle. All you had to do was, like, double Jalen Waddle, and then you take him out of the game. The Jets defense couldn't even, like, what were you going to do if Tyreek Hill was on the field? He would have been smacked around. Like, the Jets knew Waddle was the only option for Tua, and they were able to get him open. They were able to scheme him open, and that happens consistently with other teams. But for the New York Jets, we cannot figure out how to get our guys open and get the damn ball to them, and it's so incredibly frustrating, and I don't blame Garrett Wilson for being frustrated. I don't blame Alan Lazard for being frustrated. I don't blame any other players or fans for being frustrated at this team right now. This is really frustrating. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not on, like, the let's fire Robert Saleh bandwagon. I'm not really on the let's fire Joe Douglas bandwagon. I'm kind of stuck in this weird limbo of saying, like, okay, let's just let them all ride it out with Rodgers and just clean house all at once. Because if you're going to say, hey, you got to fire Saleh, I think you got to fire Douglas at the same time. And if you're upset with Douglas, which I think everyone should probably be really friggin' frustrated with right now, if you want to fire him, I don't think you saddle Saleh with the new GM. I think you get rid of the whole kit and caboodle. You get rid of both of them all at once because they should be tied at the hip. And I think we're going into next year with these two and Hackett. And it's really frustrating because I don't know how I'm going to see something better on the field because you got Aaron Rodgers potentially coming off, you know, what normally is a career ender and an Achilles injury at 40 years old. Is he actually going to look that much better? Are we going to get sold a blind faith? And I'm just so frustrated with this team. Boys and girls, let me know what your thoughts are of Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas. Do you think either one should get fired? Do you think someone should get fired? Do you think they are safe? Is anything going to happen? What are you looking forward to in these next three games? Commanders and Browns and Patriots. What are you looking forward to? What did you think of yesterday's game? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.